Welcome to the BTA Podcast. BTA, the voice of business travel.
Hi, and welcome to the latest edition of the BTA Pulse, where myself, Clive, Wratten, and
Clarke
talk about everything that's gone on in the business travel world. We're laughing because we just did that and we got it completely wrong, so we've had to re-record it. But that's how professional we are. We started again. But welcome to this latest edition of the podcast. Quite a bit to talk about, Andrew. But we'll start, I think, with the corporate summit, which took place a couple of days ago. And I know you were integral in putting it together. A good day, I reckon. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, really good day. Morning, Clive. I think, these things take many months to put together. Many hands get involved and people get involved. And, at the end of the day, I was likening it to your birthday parties. You have all these plans, you pick the venue, you pay for it all, you get it all ready, and then you just hope everybody turns up. And we had a fabulous turnout on the day, which was really good to see. Lots of smiles, laughter and networking in the room, and some great content. And judging by the response on social media and some of the feedback that I've seen via the surveys, it went down a treat and was a good success.
So I'm so professional, I'm coughing now, so I had to go off my it's not going well today, is it? But it is Friday the 13th we're recording this. We might as well reveal the date, which is why it's all going wrong. But no, I think it's a really good debate and lots of engaged faces, and really good to see people meeting together. And of course, great to see the collaboration with the Advantage Travel Partnership again. We're living what we're talking about, which was driving more collaboration within the industry. So yeah, excellent day. And we've just been talking about the sumo guy, so, which I love that now, actually. It's shut up and move on. I thought it meant something else before I met him, but now I know what it is. And it's some good advice about us focusing really on what we can make a difference on rather than what we can't influence.
Yeah, and I think his message was that of everybody's making a difference, right, in some way. And I think you have to kind of focus on that and not worry too much around external influences. And we are in an industry that is heavily swayed by external influences, as we know. So we can't solve every single one of them. We just have to kind of find our way through the waves and through the trees and crack on with it.
Yeah, and it gets referred to since our last recording. Obviously, the activity in the Gulf has occurred, which is not only a massive worry for everybody, but clearly our industry is impacted. On that Saturday morning where all the stuff started happening, our members kicked into action and have been busy ever since in trying to get lots of people who are out there for work back home again. And of course, what isn't fully understood, although within the industry, is it's just not those people in the Gulf. There's people in the Far East, people in Australia that transit over the Middle East that have been stuck. So just really showing our industry shining again, just moving people out when our government have put in 4 charter flights. So if at best it's about 1,200, 1,500 people evacuated, where we know we're kind of in the tens of thousands of people that we're working with that have been out there for work across our members, which is, testament to the work they've done. But it's a tough time for everybody, right?
It is. And, it's what's interesting about what you just shared, Clive, is that we know, on speaking to our members, we're still actually flying people into the zone, right? Because we work with news organizations, we work with, industry charities and people like that need to be on the ground in the types of crisis. So where your leisure and your holiday makers and people like that are trying to get out of the country, we're actually looking at ways to get people in to support and to help and to report and everything else that goes with it. So we're quite a unique sector within the whole travel sphere, and I think that's what really stands us out and makes us shine when it comes to events like this.
Yeah, it's so true. That is the case. And, it's such a massive part of the oil industry as well, and merchant seaman industry, still there having to travel or do whatever they need to do. You're absolutely bang on. We've got to get people out there safely and look after them while they're on the ground, and duty of care. And it's such a huge part that, again, saying to our suppliers and particularly airlines who sometimes, I think don't understand the value of a travel management company. Had our members not been looking after some of the joint customers that we have, and not, I know they were swamped anyway. They would have been doubly swamped, if that's possible. I'm not sure that's a phrase, but people will understand what I mean, is that we take a lot of that on behalf of the airlines and looking after the passengers for them. And never is it more important than in situations like that we're seeing currently at the moment. I guess for all of us, the big part is looking what happens next, and what business travel does moving forward, because a situation like this ongoing has an impact on us clearly, that it will either lead with reduced business travel, which we hope is not the case, but certainly potential of rising prices through oil price being up, and also a lack of capacity, because the Middle East represents about 10% of global capacity, and that's a huge amount of stuff taken out, and then it's supply and demand. So it's a tough time for the industry moving forward, I think.
It is, and you in your career, having worked in that neck of the woods, we've got challenges going west out to the US with everything going on over there. We've reported on that and spoke about that in the past. You've now got challenges going east because of the flight path and the need to go in and around the Middle East on a lot of these carriers. So it is a really difficult time for the industry at the moment. And let's hope in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks we see some resolution, or at least some change in what we're seeing at the moment, and things can get back to some normality. And I think that's everybody's focus.
That's what we hope for. And of course, I'm going to plug it. That's when associations such as the BTA come absolutely into the fore of hearing the members' issues, picking them up, sharing them, trying to find solutions on behalf of the industry, and continuing to raise the voice of those that are travelling for work, that continue to have to travel for work. The point you made around NGOs, even, we do military stuff that have to travel, and our members are trying to sort that out. So, we're going to be busy over the next few weeks, but I hope, like you say, it calms down and we can get back to some sort of normality, whatever normality is. But there we are. We will cover more of that, and we see trends and what's going on in the world. Probably our next podcast, we will have a bit of a view, and we will share with the listeners kind of how business travel is faring. So we'll keep that on the radar. But
and we've got all the data, haven't we, Clive? So we can certainly give our listeners a bit of an overview on kind of where the volumes have shifted and where they've increased and dropped over this last period, and then that'll give us some indication of what we're facing.
Yeah, no, absolutely we will. And that's part of our job. And for our members, we will make sure they're in the know as well. So if you're not a member and you want to be in the know, then clearly join the BTA. Yeah. So what have we got domestically coming out? I just want to, you've been looking after the hotel levy. I know not too much has happened because the submission in and we're waiting for government to come back, but any kind of updates? You've been talking to some hotel partners and trying to get some data and a bit more collaboration maybe for response wise?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think once the submission had gone in, we got some great press coverage. I think it attracted a little bit of attention. So I found myself, instead of being on the radio, which is probably my best home because nobody can see the face and the wrinkles, I found myself in the printed press, giving some comments and quotes and interviews, because I think it's important that we keep the momentum of the story. We can't just submit and then leave it till we get contacted. I think we have to keep that message out there whilst the government are looking at the submission. Our friends at DFT, who we speak with on a regular basis, have been really supportive. They've taken a copy of our submission. They've put us in touch with the relevant departments that are potentially looking at this, and they're trying to get the doors open to some form of conversation as and when is possible. And as far as our partners are concerned, we've had a few hotels approach us based off the back of the press coverage to say that they're willing to support us with data to show the volumes in some of the regions that is going to be impacted. So all in all, I think it's a good campaign. Momentum's strong. We've got the support of the various areas of the organisations that need to be involved. Our other associations have been supportive as well, which is always great because one voice is better than five.
Yeah, very much so.
And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really strong message we've got, and we will be, as you say, fighting it on and looking for alleviations for our members and their customers on this. But we will see where it goes. But we'll, again, keep our listeners updated on how that moves. again, just to kind of give people the stuff that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, there's currently a change in National Rail's refund conditions, which has created quite a big issue. We fear, it may not be the case, but we fear at this point for our members in terms of refunding tickets after the day of departure, effectively, which is a big part of what Rail Tickets is about, the freedom. So on behalf of that campaign, looking to help BTA members fight around that point. So we'll keep people updated on that. Some may have seen it in the press. And I was going to say, of course, actually, you mentioned the press, but you got headlines in Daily Mail. So you really made it now, I have to say. That was, and your campaign with your picture plastered all over.
No one's asking for autographs yet. No one's asking for my autograph yet, Clive. So probably not made it as well. But just to touch on that, I think one thing to call out to our members listening in is that the TMC community have been given an extension from the deadline of 1st of April. So that's just a reminder for everyone. So whilst, if you go on the trains website now, I book a lot of tickets on Avanti because I'm up and down to London in and around that space. And when I go on the Avanti website to book my tickets, the message comes up around the refund notification around the 1st of April. But for TMCs, our clients booking via TMC, that has been extended to the end of April as it stands today. And as you rightly say, we're in conversation with the rail organisations and RDG just to sort of work through the impact of that for the business travel and the TMC community.
Yeah, and again, very much so. And also what we will be doing, should we not get the resolution that we feel we need, is that the BTA will take up on behalf of our members with both Treasury and the DfT to highlight the issue and go to another level. But hopefully we can get it resolved without having to go to that. But I'm going to say, again, another reason for being part of the BTA. We do that for you. And hopefully we get a bit of a victory. So we're nearly at the end of our kind of now and again conversation that we have to keep people informed, but it would be remiss not to mention that we have announced the destination for our autumn conference, and we're off to sunny Spain.
We're all off to sunny Spain. That was a song in the 80s, wasn't it? We're off to sunny Spain.
Yeah, Viva La España. Yeah, absolutely. Most of our listeners will not know that, but I think I heard it in its pre-release version. I was around at the time. But yeah, it is good. So registration is now open on the BTA website, and for members and partners that want additional places, there is some fantastic early bird offers that are available. I think they're on there for early bird until the end of March, maybe April. I should know that, but I can't remember.
You should know that. Yeah, I don't know that, but you should know that.
I should know that. Anyway, my advice is get booked soon because there's some great flights. We've listened to feedback, and this year you will have some chance to enjoy the Spanish sunshine and some downtime. I would suggest, get an early flight out on the Sunday, spend Sunday relaxing, doing what you want to do. We start with the good evening event and then conference on the Monday and Tuesday. You can fly home Tuesday evening and spend the afternoon in the sun before flying home. But you need to get in early to get the flights of your choice to give you as much time as possible. I'm currently building the agenda, and there will be some great content, some workshops like we've had before. And the theme is, let's make it work, following on from Let's Get to Work from last year. And I won't say more on that at the moment, but I really hope talking about some maybe edgy issues and not shying away from some difficult conversations. So if you're in the TMC world, you definitely need to be there, and definitely need to bring 2 or 3 of your staff members along with you. And if you're a supplier, you certainly would be good to use your places and book some extra places, because it is where the real debate about business travel will happen. And there is a lot going on, and who knows, God forbid, what happens through the summer, but it will be certainly some big topics to talk about. So there we are. It's almost the weekend, Friday the 13th. We mentioned it before. I'm almost halfway through it, and I've only made a couple of cock-ups on this podcast. So if that's as bad as it gets today,
at least it's proven it's live, right? That's the key thing. But
absolutely.
One thing to call out, Clive, you just mentioned there around some of the topics. I think one thing I hope that everybody took away from our CTS summit on Tuesday was that the topics were real. We weren't sort of, flowering everyone with champagne and roses. We were talking about the reality of the situation, the impacts of things that are changing, and, some of the things, the headwinds and opportunities that we've got in our industry. And following on from that, we've got 3 fantastic sector conferences coming up over the next few months. We've got our accommodation meetings and events, definitely one to get to around the accommodation industry. We just talked about visitor levy there. We've got our finance conference, all things changing around payment, AI, productivity, activity. I think that's another one. And then we've got our aviation conference, always well attended from our members. So the next 3 months, 3 sector conferences coming your way. So get onto the website, have a look at them, and please send the people that they impact within your TMCs, whether it be account managers, supply managers, operational staff. All are welcome to attend, educate themselves, learn, and be part of the discussion.
Yeah, there's plenty of spaces available to send more than one person along.
Yeah.
Actually, you make a good point. I didn't know, and I'll just call it out just in case people haven't and they're moving around over the next few months, is that there are a number of TfL strikes planned throughout March, April and May, which actually we know because we found it impacts our aviation conference date. So that date may change to avoid the strike. Hopefully they're resolved before, but it is worth noting if anybody is coming to London and organising events in that time, do watch out. They are on the BBC website amongst other places, and we could do without a summer of strikes on top of everything else in the transport space. But
yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? Because we kind of know that they'll be called off. That's what happened last year, but it's the disruption because people make alternative plans, change dates of conferences, mess around with everything, and then you find out it's called off. So annoying.
It is hugely annoying, and that's the way they do it. And again, it just shows we're always at the forefront of this kind of stuff. Again, people thinking travelling for work is not probably their first thought when there's tube strikes, but it is hellishly difficult for business travellers moving around meetings to London, even getting to the airport. So there we are. That's the summer. So I'm off for the weekend. Football this weekend. I didn't mention it because it's been a difficult week for your team in Europe and a difficult week for my team at Mansfield. But there we go. Tomorrow is another day.
Tomorrow there's another day, and as Roland Keating said, life is a roller coaster. And when you're a football fan, you are on a roller coaster.
Yeah. So whoever you support, if you're a football fan, unless you're for Plymouth, who Reading have tomorrow, I don't know who you've got. You've got a big game.
We've got West Ham tomorrow.
West Ham. So unless you're a West Ham fan, have a great weekend, and we'll be back very soon with all the updates on what is a very busy time in the business travel world. So thank you for listening. Do check out our website for any more details and previous editions of this podcast and many other fantastic podcasts about business travel. And myself and Andrew will be back with you very soon. Thanks for listening, and bye from me.
And it's a bye from me.